not that much. I wouldn't throw it against the wall, but I was just making a joke.
Well,
What's your brunch order?
Yeah, good question.
Here's the thing. I really like a lunch more than a brunch.
I totally agree.
You know, I just think that it's hard to get a well-cooked egg. I want a fluffy egg.
Oh.
You know, I don't. So many places
Like a Bourdain egg?
They overcook the egg.
It's because you need to do that figure 8. You need to whip it in a certain way.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Figure 8? Anthony Bourdain made amazing eggs with chopped up bacon, chives, cheese, but when you whip it, you kind of move it in a figure 8 with a fork, and it cooks it in a certain way. It distributes it evenly. It's fluffier.
Okay, I'll come.
I have a recommendation for you in the area. I'll give it to you once.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I want a fluffy egg.
I got you.
All right.
I'll send you a
Wendy
recipe.
loves fluffy eggs.
Trust the 300-pounders when it comes to food.
Well, I'm in that boat.
And trust me, when it comes, CC, do I know food or do I know food?
You do.
We are all super fans of the Hoop Collective podcast. We love it. It's normally 3 voices. It's normally Brian Windhorst, Tim McMahon, and Tim Bontemps. There was a 4th voice most recently. You put your son on. Explain.
Well, the producer put my son on, but yeah, I mean, you know, I'm at the age where I've been known. I like have my little lectures and sayings or whatever, and you know, one of the things about sports in general, but particularly the NBA, is it's like, and when I make occasional speeches, like this is one of my big things, is that there's always time. There's always time in sports. You know, this is what you say to your 8-year-old or your, I assume, 15-year-old or 25-year-old. When he strikes out in the first inning or, you know, loses a game, you say, well, there's always time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, at some point there isn't time, but there's always time. That's why people say to me when NBA games are over in the first quarter or the second quarter after game 1 or, you know, with 10 minutes to go in the game, or if you're down by 22 with 7 minutes left, like the other night, like, yeah, this one's over. And I go, oh, there's always time. So my son has heard me say this many times over the years. And I was at the Knicks game the other night, and he sent me a video after the Knicks got to overtime. My wife sent it. He's 8. And he's like, hey, I guess you were right. They were down by 20, and they're now in the overtime. I guess you're always right. You're right. There's always time. And I was right. But yes, I mean, that is a big thing about the NBA. And it's what I would say about these series right now. Like, whether this is what I would say about the Cavs. You know, people are like, you know, this series is over. Like, that was their chance to even get it to 5. Maybe, but there's always time. The NBA, basketball in general, is a very restorative, forgiving sport. The NBA season is extraordinarily long. An NBA game is 48 minutes. It's the longest basketball game in the world. An NBA playoff series, the 15-day window that. What happens in game 1 in the first half is totally forgotten by the second half of game 4, game 7. It's all, there's time. There's time to restore and rehabilitate. And so my son heard it, and, you know, who knows what else he's going to mock me. I think he was mildly condescending. The way he was
said
saying
actions over words to you, I heard also.
Yeah, that's one of my other things. Yeah.
So, Wendy, there's always time. How much time Kenny Atkinson got? Is he coaching for his job in this series?
I don't think so. Here's why. When I was with the Cavs before the game the other night, they were in such a remarkably great place mentally, their players, coaches, and executives, because they're owned by Dan Gilbert, who is from Detroit, lifelong Detroit resident, preferred to own the Pistons, but the Pistons weren't for sale when he bought the Cavs. I think at one point in his life wanted to buy the Lions, but the Lions had never been for sale in his billionaire lifetime. And the Cavs were very close to losing to the Pistons in a very important playoff series. And instead, the Cavs beat the Pistons. Mm-hmm. And Dan Gilbert came in. And Dan Gilbert, you know, 4 or 5 years ago had a stroke, so he's in a wheelchair. He came into the Cavs locker room in Detroit the other night and said, this is the second greatest moment for me as an owner, the other one being the championship. So that was almost like winning 2 playoff series or 3. And so I actually think that the Cavs... Now, I want to say Gilbert was sitting first row the other night and probably, I don't know, but probably was wondering why Kenny Atkinson wasn't calling timeout. So...
Oh, he said as much on Twitter.
Yeah, he did.
Wait, so are you saying if hypothetically the first round was a win against Orlando and not Detroit, you'd feel like Kenny Atkinson would be more on the hot seat right
I'm
now?
just telling you that there was an incredible level of achievement felt by the Cavs organization. And I actually felt like, in all honesty, of course, it's easy for me to say this now, but after I made my 90-minute loop of the pregame, I hadn't seen the Cavs in the whole postseason, and this is where I do my work. I do my work before the game when I see everybody. After making that loop, I said, I think the Cavs have a great chance to win tonight because they were mentally in a terrific place because the victory over the Pistons really validated their season. And I'm not saying that they are going to give up now and, head to Cancun, but I think I think they were playing pressure free. The way the game ended up playing out, obviously was very upsetting, and that will be something that could potentially be a black cloud over them the rest of this series. But organizationally, I think that they are in a good place. I don't think the pressure exists. In fact, I still think they're playing with not that much pressure. Of the 4 teams left, I think the Cavs are the 4th team. Wow. I don't think anybody looks at them and they probably think that they can win the whole thing. But of the 4 teams left, you'd rank them, however you'd rank them, you'd put Cleveland 4th. I think they understand that. They're going to make their best of it, but I don't think they're facing like do or die, is what I'm saying.
Are the Knicks number 1 on the pressure rankings?
I think the Knicks and Cavs were the 2 most pressurized teams. I think the Cavs hadn't gotten to the conference finals. Donovan, no one had ever had as much playoff success as Donovan Mitchell in the history of the game, and never gotten to the conference finals. And I realize getting to the conference finals isn't on anybody's bucket list. It's go to the finals, win the finals, but
can't get there unless you go to the conference finals.
James Dolan came out and said, "I expect to get to the finals."
Yes,
they reached the conference finals last year, and the coach got fired.
Right.
So I think on the pressure rankings, it was Cavs. It was Knicks Cavs, but I think the Knicks is a little higher. And the Knicks are strongly favored in this one. So I still think the pressure is more on the Knicks than the Cavs.
Wendy, before we let you go here, he'll be on SportsCenter, of course, NBA Countdown, NBA Today, everything with Brian Windhorst, who's just so kind with his time. Are we done with coaching firings now that Jason Kidd has been fired?
Probably. But I would never say never because there's always time. In all honesty, there have been fewer coach firings than I thought there were going to be. In the wake of, what ends up happening in the NBA, as soon as the trade deadline ends, we start having conversations in the league, who's getting fired, what GMs are getting fired, what coaches are getting fired. And there were conversations people thought maybe 10 coaches would get let go. Or there'd be openings. People weren't sure about Steve Kerr whether he'd come back. Obviously, he wasn't going to be fired, but people thought that could have been an opening. There have been other jobs that have not turned over that we as a collective in the league thought might. So probably, but there are still a couple of other situations that people would keep an eye on.
And is there anything else that we haven't asked you about that we should have asked you about in terms of what's on your mind in terms of the NBA right now?
I don't know. I last night watching that game, the level of intensity that was being played by the Thunder to try to deal with Victor Wembanyama at both ends of the court, they were so mindful and intent on dealing with him. It's really amazing to watch. And unfortunately, I almost think that Victor may need to be Superman, especially if Harper is hurt. That game in Game 1 was that we're talking about as a top 5 conference finals performance ever. He may need one or two more of those if his guards are hurt. And watching Oklahoma City, this is what I would say to Knicks fans out there. You should try to do everything you can to get through this series as fast as possible, and then do not make plans for June, because the team that comes out of that series is going to be mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted. Watching what these 2 teams are doing, particularly the Thunder. The Thunder and what they're having to deal with Victor is I'm not sure I've ever seen it. And I do not know what kind of condition that they're going to be in at the end of this, even if they win.
Oof.
Ryan Windhorst. Phenomenal as always. You'll see him on Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern. We are on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, and RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out, because it could be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because